This is pretty cool. It's Dee Snider. So Dee Snider has a brand new album called We Are the Ones. This is a cover of Nine Inch Nails, Head Like a Hole. I want to play the title track for you for a second. Again, We Are the Ones, available now. DeeSnider.com, Amazon.com, and iTunes.
We are the ones you are taught to hate. We are the hearts that were born to break. We live our lives from all your lies. We wear our scars like a badge of pride. Have you ever lived in fear? It's our normal.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Dee Snider because he's on the MPW Digital TV Celebrity Hotline right now. Solo record and the end of Twisted Sister. Let's grab Dee Snider right over there. Let me press this button. Dee Snider, is that you?
Yes, is that you?
Hi, man. This is Tony Tone. You're on the radio in Iowa. How you doing, buddy?
Tony, I'm doing great, man. How's things in Iowa?
Things are good. We're ready to get this day over with and get behind the election and all the negative ads. So I figured that it made sense to have Dee Snider on the radio because you are a ray of sunshine, sir.
Yes, I'm a ray of sunshine, and I'm hiding from the election, too. They said, Dee, do you want to do a day's worth of press? I said, yes, please. I don't want to look at the TV. I don't want to see what's going on.
It makes total sense. And I want to tell you, Dee, that the radio station that you're on is a little unique in the sense that when you release a solo album like We Are the Ones, I have 100% local control of my playlist, and I could play the whole thing front to back if I wanted to. And we've been picking songs off of it. The record is fantastic, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Boy, that's refreshing to hear. I mean, not that it's a fantastic record, but a radio station with some control
right.
over its playlist. That's really refreshing.
Yeah, it's super cool for me. I've been here for just about 4 years, and it's nice to not have to answer to some suit out of town that sends me the same 300 songs that people are tired of hearing. We get to hear from people honestly every day. I take between like 30 and 60 requests, and I get to play them all. So it's like the best gig ever for me, and I was so happy when we got the copy of We Are the Ones. So we got to talk about that for a second. When you go into the studio in 2016 or 15 when this is recorded, how has the process changed for you, Dee?
Well, the process is dramatically changed in that, I was the master of my own ship, so to speak. I mean, I was the sole songwriter in Twisted Sister, and I was the creative force in Twisted Sister, and I was the motivator in Twisted Sister. Not that everybody in the band wasn't on board to go to the top, but it was, Dee, what are we doing? When Twisted Sister, this has been our farewell year. We only have one more show next week, next Saturday in Mexico, and that's the end. We're retiring the band. I was done until I met producer-songwriter Damon Ranger, who basically challenged me to do a contemporary rock record with the Dee Snider message. So I was like, man, how do I do a contemporary record? He goes, don't worry, I'll show you. So, I mean, it's a different world out here, Tony. I mean, even just the way you finance a record and do everything with a record, things like pledge music. I'm like, what's that? They go, oh, well, the fans are going to be like financing your record through play. You're like, what? So I've had the benefit of having a contemporary writer, producer, really show me the way and help me on this new path.
I think it's interesting because, for some bands, like we're fortunate to kind of be friends with Alice Cooper, and that's a guy that can go out and do shows and play the classics, but then work in some new stuff. So I wonder for you, Dee, as you start playing songs off We Are the Ones, how have the crowds been responding? Because it's a great record. So I would assume that if I went to a show, I would recognize the new songs, appreciate if you do some of the older stuff. But I wonder from your perspective, when you're on stage and you're looking into the crowd, are you seeing people singing words back to you and you're thinking, wow, that's a brand new song and they already know it?
Well, it's really too early. The record came out last week.
Right.
And so my first show is actually in a couple of weeks. We're just rehearsing this week, so I'm not seeing that yet. But one of the things that when I decided to make this venture was I immediately contacted my band and I said, guys, I want you to know what I'm doing, and I want to make a promise to you. I did not retire Twisted Sister to go out and form a new band and go out and do a Twisted Sister show.
Sure.
I said that would be an insult to our legacy, an insult to you guys. I'm going out with a new band, and I'm doing all new material with a couple of songs, as opposed to what you normally hear is all old material and a couple of new songs.
Right.
And by the way, usually by the third or fourth week into the tour, those two songs have disappeared because nobody cares. But so, I've told my managers, my agents, don't put me out on a hair metal tour. Don't put me out on if I'm going to do this, I'm going to attempt to present myself as a contemporary artist with contemporary music.
Sure.
So if I can't do it, I can't do it. So that is the challenge, man. To go out there. We did one show before the album came out in Chicago. I did Riot Fest.
Yeah.
And to quote my wife, who's been with me for 40 years now, that's not your audience. She was walking through the crowd. And I went out there, and I tell you, I said right from the stage, I said, man, this sucks. I said, I'm doing all unknown material. The album's not even out yet. And it's tough to do that. That's like when I first started with Twisted Sister, you know, touring, playing to people who didn't know your stuff. But the reviews were great, and my favorite thing about one of the reviews was, he's playing new music, but I'll tell you one thing, he rocks harder than people half his age. So hopefully, my energy and the quality of the songs will sell the thing. And of course, for the encore, of course I play a couple of Twisted things.
Sure.
I'm not saying you got to get no Twisted. I'm proud of my legacy. I'm just not going to use it as a crutch.
No, I think I respect that 100%. So you have a very active Facebook page, a lot of videos from rehearsals, and I just want to talk about the band for a second, specifically Tanya TKO, who I don't know how else to describe her. She's a badass, and I think I can say that on the radio. But talk about your band for a second, because it seems like when you hit the road with this group, people are going to appreciate how well you're supported on stage.
Well, these, first of all, I'll get to Tanya as TKO, as I call her, Tanya Catherine O'Callahan, on bass. Again, Damon Rangers is my guide, and these are some of the top session people who played on my record and top supporting people who go out there with Pink and Alanis Morissette and, some of the, play with all the bands in the world. And he put the band together. And he brought in this petite Irish girl on bass guitar. And now I'm coming from Mark the Animal Mendoza, who could have easily been a professional wrestler. And now I said, that's my bass player. And he goes, trust me, dude. Let me tell you something. I call her TKO because she's blown up more bass amps since we've been rehearsing and playing. I cannot believe it. And she's, and I'm not saying, not that there's anything wrong with it. She's not, look at this way. She's feminine. Mm-hmm. And my wife, my wife is my sounding board. Suzette, people have seen her on TV with me. She's been with me for 40 years since day one, and she says, I can't figure it out. I say, figure it out. He goes, well, I see this little girly girl up there, and I hear this thunderous bass, and I can't figure out where it's coming from. So I've got some, just amazing players, but you look at them, and you go, wait a minute, that ain't no hair metal band. What the hell is going on there? So it's just, they're just great musicians, and again, I'm making a statement there as well. It's not, I'm trying to tell people, expect the unexpected. Do not expect Twisted Sister 2 here.
Sure.
That's my challenge. Is if I'm going to do something new, do it, go full on,
Yeah, well, and I hope that we're fortunate enough to have I grew up in Chicago, and that's not a far drive from us, and I hope that when you are on the road with the new record and the band that you're coming through the Midwest, because that you have so many diehard fans in Iowa and Illinois, right? You're aware of that.
Oh, I do know. I mean that's where, this is the honest truth. This is where Twisted Sister, when we first left New York, our first tour of the States, that's where we started. Mm-hmm. And I remember driving out there in a Winnebago, and that's when I knew that it was going to work. Because we've been playing in the New York area, and you're going, okay, that's our home,
Right.
But when we got out to the heartland, as they call it, and the people were going nuts, I said, all right, man. This is going to play everywhere. This is going to play in Peoria. It's going to be everywhere. So yeah, and I mean, we were in Sioux City. We were in Sioux Falls, I should say.
Yeah.
at Badlands at a club out there with Twisted Sister. We did one of our farewell shows out there. Matter of fact, our last show in the United States. So we get it, and I get it.
Well, we appreciate that very much. We don't have a ton of time left, but a couple things I just wanted to touch on. It was great seeing you in the Quiet Riot documentary. That was a cool thing to get to see. The experience. Did they approach you about being a part of that, or what?
I get hit up to be in a lot of documentaries.
I bet.
Because I didn't do any drugs or drink. I've got all my brain cells intact, and I can speak English fluently. So, put Dee on there. He can talk. I knew the guys, and I'm friends with the guys, and I'm also painfully honest.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, my statement in the beginning, well, you're never going to use this anyway, but no, they can't do it without Kevin Dubrow. And that turned out to be almost like a story driver.
Right.
Like, can we do it without Kevin? So, and I'm great friends with Frankie and the guys, and I wish them nothing but I have nothing but love for them. And, but anyway, so they asked me, I did a Lemmy one, I've done Alice Cooper ones, I'm like the go-to doc guy.
Well, it makes total sense to have you do it. In closing, I just want to say that I was so sorry when AJ passed away, and I wonder, as you reflect on the friendship and working with him, that's it's tough because obviously with the new band you have a different drummer, and I'm assuming that's tough. But has the grieving of AJ, have you been okay with his passing, or where are you at with that? I know that's kind of a weird personal question.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's AJ was, and to quote JJ French, the nice one. Mm-hmm. He was the only guy in the band who, when we broke up, was in communication with every single person. Nobody could not like AJ. He was this most lovable, great guy. And actually, my initial reaction when he passed was anger.
Yeah,
I was angry that he had not taken care of himself, angry that he had not gone to a doctor. His father died at the same age of the same cause.
Jeez.
And he never, and that's the kind of thing, and I was just mad, what, and that's part of the grieving process. So, we paid tribute to AJ. There's actually the first of our farewell shows for this 40 and Effort tour was filmed in Vegas. It's called The Metal Meltdown, a tribute to AJ Pirro, and it's actually on DVD. And so we honored, we've been honoring him and recognizing him every night, and he's with us in spirit. We love. Like I said, he was a nice one.
Absolutely. Dee Snider, I want to say thank you for the time. The new record, We Are the Ones, available now, Amazon.com, iTunes, and, of course, DeeSnider.com. Keep up the great work. We'll see you on the road soon, and thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thanks for the support, Tony. I appreciate it.
Take care, Dee. Bye.
Bye-bye.